back just in time for Memorial Day weekend with 95X Cares, your community animal rescue effort brought to you by the Law Office of William Mattar. I am Dixon, joined by Jenny. How are you?
Doing okay. How are you?
I'm happy it's hot out.
Are you really though? I'm
Yeah.
melting.
Oh, I don't
No.
mind it at all. I don't mind it at all. By Monday, I will be bronze.
Oh well, I'm a little bit jealous because I will probably look like a lobster. But, it is what it is, I guess.
Absolutely. Quickly before we start, it's Memorial Day weekend. Out here, you would think it's the 4th of July weekend in Oswego County with the amount of fireworks. So just a reminder to those of you that live in more rural areas that there will probably be a lot of fireworks this weekend. Just be prepared for it. I know it seems early, but we've all got that one neighbor, and in my case, like four.
Yeah, and that's a really good point is if you're letting your dogs out, maybe keep them on a leash. Like especially if you have a dog who's like great with recall and you can typically just let them out, they come back in. Uh, but with fireworks, it's a toss up, right? You never know what's going to happen, and maybe one spooks your dog and then they take off, and you don't want to be caught up in that situation. So take your dog out on a leash. Better safe than sorry. And once this holiday weekend passes, hopefully things will return to a little bit quieter, and your dog will be able to free roam as they please.
Fingers crossed. So all of the happy holiday stuff out of the way, because this is a heartbreaking story. I don't even know where to begin, and I don't know how to refer to him because I guess the dog doesn't even have a name.
He doesn't. So let's go with like a John Doe kind of thing, right? Because I feel like that's fair, really anonymous for his name. But so people who are on social media, on like the lost and found pet sites, and like the variety of different ones that are out there when people find loose
Neighborhood
dogs.
groups and things like
Yeah. So this dog has been, I can say, probably over the last 2, maybe more years, I've seen him posted that he gets picked up. Good Samaritan finds him. He hasn't been in the best shape, and ultimately gets returned to owners. Dog was loose again, and picked up, and this time he is in really, really poor condition. Now, I want to just give a humongous shout out to Recyclable Bully Breed Rescue and a few of their volunteers who really stepped up to kind of do a little bit like a wraparound service with this case, because the dog was in such rough shape that they needed to convince the owners to surrender the dog to their care so that the dog could get the veterinary services that he needed. Um, Swollen belly, missing some fur, eyes really crusty, ear and whatnot kind of like coming out of them. Uh, just a really rough shape. So ultimately, the owners finally decided to surrender him. So now he's come into the care of rescue. We know that rescues run literally on monetary donations. This is not a for-profit. They don't have some bank. They really they lean into the community to be able to care for these dogs. Um, and now they have him, and they got him over to the vet, and the vet has taken a look. His eyes are so infected, they said that he can probably see some shadows and sunlight, but he's otherwise operating at basically blind. The gunk in his ears, they were able to clear a lot of it out, but he has a double ear infection, so they're not really sure what his hearing is like at this point. The skin infection is the least of his worries. I will say some good news that kind of came out of it was that he does not have Lyme disease and he does not have heartworm. Um, he does have a swollen testicle, so they think maybe he has some cancer going on. And if there's Mets, unfortunately, it would mean that he has spread further in his body, which would explain some of his joint stiffness. Um, this didn't have to happen. This is entirely something that's preventable, right? By getting your dogs and cats and other pets their basic care and their checkups. Um, there's programs, right, throughout CNY. Fixing to Help is one that is willing to help you pay for your dog or cat to get neutered or spayed. Um, it's one of those situations that you just look at the case, right? And if you see this dog and see how sad he looks, and you know that it was preventable, it's infuriating, really. And it's just so heartbreaking because poor John Doe here knows nothing but, unfortunately, a life of pain and trying to get away and ultimately being returned to it. And we're so fortunate to have such amazing rescues in our area that are willing to take on essentially what it's going to more than likely be as a hospice case, right? Um, but at this point, they said that no cats should be near him. And he's not really making at the vet's office. He wasn't really fond of other dogs. Could that be because he's in pain? Right? I mean, sure. So if he wasn't in so much pain, maybe he'd be able to have a doggy friend. But at this point, a solo spot that's kind of quiet where he is able to do some healing as they kind of solve whether it's just a body infection or if it is cancer, who knows? But he's going to be neutered. They will send for a biopsy, get some results, find out what's going on further so they have a full picture. But at the end of the day, this is all a really long-winded way of saying that they're going to need some monetary support. And if you have a place that is good for a hospice kind of situation, or if you're able to keep a dog, but kind of keep them away from your other dogs, or maybe you don't have one and you're willing to just lend a room at this place, a room and some belly rubs and some warm food and cold water, that's more than this dog has ever experienced. And Recyclable is going to do their best to make sure that the rest of his days are pain-free as much as they can. But they need monetary support. They need those volunteers and they need fosters willing to step up who can provide this type of care. So this is a little bit different, I guess, because it's more or less a call to action to say, do your part. And if you can help, great. If you can skip your Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks tomorrow and donate $5, it literally will make a huge difference. So
Yeah, and again, right, like as we approach the holiday, just remember everybody's going to be at a barbecue or with family and friends, and meanwhile, this dude is just like where, right? Like just enduring more misery, and there's so much sadness in his eyes because you can tell he's a gentle
yeah,
dude, right? Like
yeah.
you can tell, right, like that he's seen a lot of stuff. I'm not trying
Hmm.
to be funny with that, but like it's sad, right? Like the fact that he is at this point like a full-on adult dog that was never neutered,
Oh
kind
yeah,
of loose, right? Like all of these different ailments. It's just so sad. And
100%.
yeah,
Another thing that they had said too was that they found that his teeth were down to kind of like nubs, so they're in like terrible like shape. Um, and as a dog who's only 5 years old, this should not be the case whatsoever. Like an elderly dog, sure, like 10 plus years old, maybe a little bit more common to find. Um, so why that's the case, whether it is from abuse or just the straight neglect of his care that has led to his malnutrition and uh I don't know, maybe he was like chewing on a chain or something. Our brains can probably imagine a lot at this point when you look at a dog who's in the shape of what he's possibly gone through. Um, but it shouldn't be that way. And you're right, you see these pictures and he like pathetic, right? And desperate are the two words that jump to my mind. And I think that it's heartbreaking. So maybe you're at a cookout this weekend with some family members and you can show them the picture and maybe collect some Venmo money or Cash App money from your family members and um, send that on over to them. Make your barbecue a little bit of like a benefit for this dog, but know that any monetary help is going to go right to his care, and anything that is extra or above goes to the care of the other dogs that are in need. And again, if you have space for a foster hospice kind of situation, definitely reach out to them because at this point, it's kind of like one of those we're in a pinch and they need help.
and there is a direct link to the Venmo at recyclable.com. So if you feel a little generous, maybe you want to have one less drink this weekend, right? Like what's that, $5 to $10 if you're going
Right.
out? I don't know. I don't go out anymore. So but yeah, donate what you can at recyclable.com. The link to their Venmo is right there, and I'll have a link to their website as we fade to black. So, Jenny, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. I hope this boy gets at least a little bit of something, right?
A
Like
little love,
at
a
least
little
right now he's
TLC.
safe, right? Like he's safe. He's not roaming the streets. His
Hmm.
eyes, ears have been addressed, right? Like he's at least feeling good. It would be great
Yeah,
if we can make that next step and get him closer to some foster care.
absolutely.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much. I hope you have a great holiday weekend. And
Yes, you
we'll be
too.
back next Tuesday for another short week and bring you another adoptable animal with 95X Cares. Jenny, thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll see you then.
It's all brought to you by the Law Office of William Mattar.